I lived in Newark. I left Newark when I was 27. And what happened was my cousin Paul Yampolsky got mononucleosis. My Aunt Anne died very young from a heart condition. And so he was living with his dad, George Yampolsky, in Hillside, New Jersey. And George had to go to work. So Paul came to my house, and my mother took care of him for 6 weeks. I went to live with my girlfriend Alice, who was an orphan, and she lived about 6 blocks away in her own apartment. Nothing fancy. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to be on my own. My mother didn't know who I was going to go out with and ask me questions and the whole thing. So I don't want to get off the track, but there was a point to this. Oh, at that point in my life, I was working. I had graduated high school when I was 18, and I went to work for Dr. Arnold Rosenthal, our family doctor. And while I was working for him in his medical office, I went to night school and I became a lab technician. And Wednesday mornings, I would do blood tests that they send out to now, and they make a big deal out of these blood tests. I did blood counts, and I diagnosed my father's cancer and my girlfriend Janet's father's cancer. I mean, those were serious things that happened to me. But I was working on weekends as a band vocalist at weddings and bar mitzvahs. And I would shake the maracas, la última noche que pasé contigo, la llevo guardada como fiel testigo. So I would sing in different language, and then when the orchestra would break, I would stand up while people were having dinner by myself on the bandstand, and I would do a little 15-minute with Sempre Libera from La Traviata and maybe Granada or something, different than dance music. So here I am, 27. Paul is in my house. I'm with Alice. And I think she and I went up to the Catskill Mountains on a vacation. And we went to this hotel, and I got up and sang at on the bandstand with the band. And the band leader went crazy. And he called his manager, Myra Kay, and he said, "Myra, you got to get up here. You got to hear this singer." She said, "I don't want any more singers." And she's just very brusque, but a very loving person. "I don't want any more singers. I'm not interested." He said, "Myra, you got to hear this singer." So she drove up to Gibbers. I think we were Gibbers Hotel. Remember this? And she signed me to a contract, and she helped me. Before that was the summer of 1960. I was living with Alice and loving it, and I was only 6 blocks away from my mother. Paul went home, he recovered, and my mother said, "Okay, now you can come home." I said, "Mom, I want to stay with Alice." She said, "It's a shanda. You can't live 6 blocks away with somebody else and not be with your family." In those days, you lived with your family. So that's when we went on vacation, Alice and I, and I met Myra, and I said, "Okay, I'm moving into New York." She said, "That's okay. You can move into New York, but you can't live 6 blocks away." What were the neighbors thinking? That's the logic. right? Does it look familiar? Sound familiar? So, Myra Kay helped me in so many ways. She went with me to find an apartment. I knew nothing. What did I know? I lived on Dewey Street. I sang with a band on weekend. You know what I mean? Like, I knew nothing. I was so uninformed. I took voice lessons for years. So she helped me choose a wardrobe, a stage wardrobe, and she introduced me to a man who wrote an act for me, you know, with songs. And I sang songs in Yiddish and Hebrew and Italian and French, and I did medleys in Spanish. And she was instrumental in calling all the agents that booked the hotels to tell them about her find, Dina Claire. And she got me started. And once I learned the act and I started working, you know, I was booked constantly because I would sing these cute songs, these pop songs, and then, you know, I would hit an operatic aria with the high notes, and it was such a potent blend. Nobody was doing that. So I was very successful for many years.